Hi, and welcome to episode 80 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, November 8th, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me today. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I really appreciate you joining me, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, and quilting, as well as hand-dyed yarn to share with you all today. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. And you can also get in touch with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. So today I am wearing my Starting Point wrap, which is a beautiful design by Joji Locatelli. I knit this a few years back when it was a mystery knit along, and it was the first project that I ever knitted using my own hand-dyed yarn. So that was an exciting thing to do, and I really love this shawl. I'm so pleased with it. I knit it out of my Radiant base, which is a fingering weight, 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. And the 5 colorways that I used are Bold as a Lion, Spring Rain, the darker blue is Deep Waters, the speckled is called Discover, and the light gray is Choice Silver. So I really love this shawl, and I do get quite a bit of use out of it, so I'm really happy that I have it. I have a couple of finished objects to share with you all today. The first one is the ribbed socks that I've been working on for the past month. I started these with I cast on 66 stitches, and I used Knit Picks Felici in the Punch Bug colorway for the top cuff area. I did 2x1 ribbing. I mentioned before that I tried following a pattern, and so there's a bit of texture in the gold, orange, and pink stripes, but I messed that up and I quickly just veered off of the pattern and did my own thing for the rest of the pattern. So I just followed a 2x1 pattern for the majority of the sock. After the cuff, the rainbow cuff section, I switched to Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in the Down Heather colorway. And that was the first time that I had ever used Stroll Tweed before, and I really enjoyed it. I loved working with the Tweedy yarn, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. I always knit a real long leg, and I love that for my socks. I wear not really tall boots, but taller boots, and so it's nice to have long socks to be able to wear underneath those tall boots, and then the cuffs usually can show over the top of my boots, which I like that. So anyway, I did, I don't know how many rows I knit for the leg, but as you can see, they're pretty long. I just knit until I think it's long enough. I don't ever measure my legs, the legs of my socks usually, unless I'm following a pattern maybe, but if I'm just doing a rib sock, I just knit until I think it's long enough. And then I did an Eye of Partridge heel, which is my favorite. I love the looks of that. And that worked well since I had an odd number of stitches on the one needle. I had 33 stitches on the heel flap, so it worked well to do a Eye of Partridge heel since it alternates slipping stitches every other row. And yeah, I just followed the 2x1 ribbing for the entirety of the sock, did a rounded toe, and used a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle for these. So yeah, they are super simple, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they're really cute, and I think this would, it's a great way to use up if you just have a little bit extra of Knit Picks Felici or some other self-striping yarn. It's kind of fun to add that little extra up at the top. I actually didn't use scraps for these. I just changed my mind in wanting to use the stripy yarn for these socks because I thought of another project that I wanted to use this stripy yarn for, so I wanted to save it. I didn't want to use it all up in socks, so that's why I decided to switch, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. So the other finished object that I have is not a true finished object in that I didn't knit the whole thing. I just modified this sweater that I made for my daughter last year. I made this in December of 2018. This is the 8-ply Posy cardigan, which is a design by, it's called the Posy 8-ply, and it's by Georgie Nicolson. And I just needed to add some length to the sleeves because my daughter has grown significantly in the last year. So I the original cuff for these just has one of these eyelet rows and then just a couple of rows of garter stitch. And I just took out the bind off and I just worked 4 extra repeats of that cuff pattern to add about 2.5 inches of length to the sleeves for her. So that worked out really well. It was a super quick and easy modification to make so that she can get some more use out of this sweater. She wears it almost every Sunday, especially in the autumn and the winter, and even in the spring. She wears it almost every Sunday over her church dresses. So it just is obviously such a neutral color that it goes with everything, and she loves it, and it looks so pretty on her. The length, I had originally modified the pattern to make it more of a cropped length, and so obviously it still fits like that on her. Even though she's gotten taller, it still looks great, I think, for the length. I think it's really flattering to have that cropped style on her. And yeah, I was really happy that I was able to easily modify the length of the sleeves to be able to fit her so she can get a lot of more use out of this. I knit this out of my own yarn. It is not dyed. It is the undyed colorway, which I call Lambs. And this is on my Josephine base, which is a DK weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So yeah, really happy that I was able to fix the length of those sleeves for her, and I know she will get a lot more use out of it now. So those are the only finished objects I have for this week. Now onto my works in progress. The first one is in this project bag that I made out of some fun pumpkin fabric. And in here is my Sophie cardigan, which is a beautiful design by Jennifer Wood. I am knitting this out of my Josephine base as well. So again, DK weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this is in the colorway Fine Gold. And I am really, really loving this pattern. It is so beautiful. I just love the cables in this pattern so much. Here's a look at the back. So there's a very cute pumpkin pie progress keeper, which is by Amanda of Little Bitty Delights. And that's marking where I was the last time I recorded. So I'd say about 4 inches I've been able to make on there. I have separated for the sleeve since I recorded last. So that is nice to reduce the number of stitches. It goes a little bit faster now that I have all of these extra stitches off of the needles. And the beautiful cable work goes down the back, down both of the sleeves, which again are on hold right now, and also down both front side panels. So here you can kind of get an idea of how it looks. This is also an interesting part of the design. You can see these extra purl ridges, I guess, and that is actually going to be folded over once the garment is complete. And this is where I will put the buttons, and then you don't actually need to knit specific buttonholes. There's just holes that you can find in amongst the cabling here, and those act as the buttonholes. So that's the design. I mean, that's how she designed it, is to have this be the button band, and then for the buttons just to go through the cable work on the right side. So I think that's really clever, and yeah, I'm excited to see how that finishes off when it's done. But I am knitting these on US 7 4.5 millimeter needles. And this is knit at a gauge of 20 stitches to 4 inches. As I mentioned last time I recorded, this does take a bit of concentration following the different cable patterns, but of course the more I work on it, the easier it gets, the more used to the cabling patterns I get. And yeah, it definitely has gotten so much easier for me. I am knitting these without a cable needle, which is working up so nicely. And yeah, I'm super excited about this garment. I'm really enjoying the process of knitting it. I am just so thrilled with how it is turning out so far. I think it's going to be a gorgeous garment once it's all done. I am knitting the 39.5 inch bust circumference size, and I am alternating skeins every second row. My next work in progress is being held in this large basket that I found at our local thrift store. And in here is a Christmas tree skirt that I am crocheting. And it has grown a ton because I have just really enjoyed working on this the last couple of weeks. So let's see if I can even show it all to you. I am making the Flirty tree skirt, which is a free pattern by Yarnspirations. And here is another progress keeper from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights. And I thought it was fitting. It is a cup of hot cocoa with a little such a tiny little peppermint in there. It's so adorable. And some whipped cream on top. So that's marking where I was last time I recorded. And as you can see, it has grown a lot. So it is, I have made some modifications to this a little bit. This is the second time I've tried working up this pattern. The first time I started it back in July, and I had made a couple of mistakes, and so I ripped it out and just started it a couple of weeks ago again. And the original pattern I made some modifications to both the colors, because in the original pattern there are only 4 sections, and I'm actually going to be adding a 5th section where I'm going to do another row of the red after I'm done with the white. And so I've shortened each of these sections just by a couple of rows, so that I will have enough, I won't have too much length in adding that extra color in at the end. So instead of doing, I think on these rows, instead of doing 14 rows, I'm only doing 12 rows. So it'll be about the same size as the original pattern. Now the major modification that I made was to these scalloped edges, and as you can see, they still aren't laying very flat unless I work with them. They have a tendency to flip over. The original pattern, when I first made up these scallops, was even worse. It had you skipping 4 stitches in between the scallop, and then there's a slip stitch in between each scallop. And it was really, really curling over, and I couldn't even get it to press down and stay flat. So I modified it to only skip 3 stitches in between each stitch. And now if I press it, it will lay pretty well. And also I can kind of just manipulate them like this to curl them back to help them stay down. I just love the ruffles, but I wish they would stay down a little bit better. And I had this problem the first time I made this as well. I remember that when I first did the scalloped pattern, I had made a mistake, and then I figured out my mistake and I did it right, and I remember that it laid better once I fixed that mistake. I don't think that I had followed the pattern correctly. Now I know I reread the pattern several times because I was like, what mistake did I make at first? And I couldn't remember what mistake I had made at first, but I'm sure that I made it the right way the first time. And then, like I said, I ripped that out and modified it to make the scallops a little closer so that they would hopefully lay down better. And they are laying down better, but they're still not great. They still like to flip up a lot. So I don't know. I think that might be a pain. I might go back, which will take quite a while, I think, but maybe just go back after I'm all done and just put just run a thread along the back and stitch down each scallop I mean, I could just do one long chain and just kind of catch a piece of the yarn in the back of each scallop and run a thread along the back side. So that, I might do that, or I might try to, I think you can steam acrylic yarn. This is all Red Heart Super Saver in cherry red, minty, and white, except for this green is Mainstays basic yarn in the green colorway. So anyway, I think you can steam acrylic, but you have to be careful. And I think that might help it hold its shape a little bit better, so I might try that. Anyway, it's okay. It's a lot better than the original scallops, but anyway. Like I said, I'm really enjoying working on this. It's so fun and mindless, and I really am loving, I'm loving the colors. At first I was not sure if it was going to be too gaudy or not, but I think it's going to be really cute and fun. So, yeah, I do just wish that those would stay down a little bit better, but oh well. I'm using the recommended needle or hook size, which is an H5mm hook, and yeah, it's going well. It does still have a bit of an opening. I mean, of course it has an opening, but it does, when you lay it flat, it doesn't close completely on the back, which was a modification that I had tried to fix when I first made this back in July, and my modification didn't work out. But I think that once it's up on the tree, it will close a little bit better because it'll be in more like a pyramid shape, and so I think that will close a little bit better. Anyway, it'll be on the back of the tree, so it won't matter if it doesn't close perfectly, but anyway. Here it is, and it's a lot of fun. Our church, a lady from our church has a Christmas party that she hosts at her home, and it's a Christmas tree skirt party where all of the, well, it's just for the women in our church, and we're encouraged to wear a tree skirt, either as like a shawl or around our waist somehow. So if I get this done in time, it'd be fun to wear it to that party as well. So that's that. It is getting very large. Okay, my next work in progress is a brand new cast on that I just cast on this morning. And it is in this cute Japanese knot bag that my friend Tina made for me. And in here, I was inspired by Joji Locatelli to try to make a pair of socks using alpaca yarn. She was recently, or maybe still is, I can't quite remember, working on a pair of alpaca socks because she had a pair of alpaca socks that she had made a while ago, and she had said that they were the warmest, and they were really hard wearing. And I never would have guessed that alpaca would be really hard wearing. But she said that they kind of naturally felt and are really nice for socks. So I had a couple of hanks of alpaca yarn that I had received from Rollingwood Alpaca Farm many years ago, like about 3 years ago, I'm guessing. And I had knit a shawl out of a couple of other of the yarns that I had received from them. I had, back a while ago, they had sent me a ton of their alpaca yarn and had commissioned me to crochet a bunch of designs for them that then there was a couple of hats and headbands and scarves, and then I mailed them back to them, and they sold the ready-made accessories that I had crocheted using their yarn. And then as part of my payment, they gifted me a bunch of yarn. So anyway, I had knit a shawl out of their alpaca yarn, and I love how that shawl turned out, but I cannot stand wearing the alpaca around my neck. It's just way too itchy for me. So I have given away a lot of the yarn that I got from them, but I held on to these two hanks because I just love how they look. I love the tweed that they have put in here. It is, well, the label says it's 100% alpaca plus silk noil, so I don't know how that, it's probably not 100% because there's silk noil in there, but anyway, it's got these beautiful flecks of silk noil throughout it, you can see that there's some like hot pink and orange and some yellow, gold colors, a lot of white, and then some green as well. So I am so excited about this. This is a DK weight yarn, and it has 250 yards for 100 grams. And I really love the DK weight socks that I made maybe earlier this year. I can't quite remember when I made them, but anyway, I love them so much, and I have a horrible time keeping my feet warm in the winter. They're just always like icicles, and so I'm really hopeful that this alpaca yarn will be nice and warm. And I can't wear it around my neck, and so socks is just the perfect thing. Hopefully it won't bother me around my ankles to have this alpaca yarn around my ankles. I'm hoping that I won't be quite as sensitive around my ankles. So anyway, I just cast these on this morning. I cast on 48 stitches, and I'm just doing a 2x2 rib at this point. I am hoping to do some sort of a cable pattern down the front, but I think I'm just gonna make up my own pattern. I couldn't find a pattern that I really liked, so anyway, I just want to do a simple cable down the front of each of them, I think, but I haven't decided what I will be using. I have the Nora Gone knitted cable source book that has tons of cable patterns in it, so I'm sure I'll probably just use one of those cable patterns. I'm using US 2.75 millimeter needles, and all of the needles that I use are Chowgu red lace. So anyway, like I said, just started these, so I haven't gotten very far yet, but I'm sure they'll work up pretty quickly in that they're DK weight yarn. So yeah, I'm really excited I'm so excited to be able to use this yarn finally, because as I said, I've been holding on to it for quite a while, and I wasn't sure how I could use it because, you know, I can't really stand it next to my skin. So I'm really excited that I'm able to get it into some socks, and I'm hopeful that they will work out well for me. Alpaca yarn is so soft to the touch. I love how it feels. I just sure wish it was softer or wasn't so irritating around my neck. But I love working with it. It's so fun to knit with. Okay, my last work in progress is the king size quilt that I've been working on since September. It is for our bed that sits right here beside me. And I have gotten the entirety of it pieced, well, almost all of it pieced together. The top part of it is all pieced together. And I am just working on the border that goes around the outside of it. So I'm gonna try to hold it up and show it all to you. I'm sure I won't be able to get it all in the frame, but I'll do my best. Okay, there's no way. But anyway, I'll just show it to you in quadrants. So as you can see, I have put this gray border piece on it. And I've done that on both the top and the bottom. But I still need to add the side border pieces to it. It's going to be about 98 inches square when I'm all done. So this is 1/4 of it here with these 9. There's 36 squares total. So I'll just show all 4 of those sections to you individually. Okay, and then the other side. There. And the last section. So I'm super excited with how it has come together. I thought that this part might go together quickly, and it seems to have done so. In comparison to the first quilt I made, which only took me a little less than 2 weeks to make, it's going so much slower, but this is a more difficult pattern, I believe, and of course it's at least twice as big. So anyway, let's see, last time I had recorded, I showed you that I had finished all of the blocks, and so I haven't shown you the sashing, so I used this light gray fabric that has these white circles on it for the sashing. And then for the cornerstones, all of these little squares, I just used all of the solid fabric from the Pinwheels and just randomly placed them throughout the quilt. So you may be able to notice that I used a solid fabric as well as a printed fabric on each pinwheel. And this is the Joseph's Pinwheel Quilt pattern by the Quilting Company. And I first started making this when I went to a class at the local quilt shop in Blair, Nebraska, which is called Acme Fabric and Company. And anyway, I am so pleased with how this is coming together. So I can't wait to get it all done. But anyway, it's going together pretty well, I think. I haven't ever done a border before, so I'm a little bit, the fabric that I bought 3 yards of this gray to do the border, and that's not quite enough to go exactly from this tip to the other side along the side here. So I'm going to put in corner pieces for this section, and then I'll be able to run a single piece through the middle, and then I'll just have 4, corner sections. And I hope I can do that well enough. I really need to be careful in measuring the length of the side to know how long to cut that fabric. But anyway, hopefully it'll come together nicely. And then I do have a bit of a dilemma with the back fabric. So I bought the majority of this fabric is all from Walmart, and I really wanted to use this fabric, which I used in the quilt. I really want to use this for the back, but my Walmart only had 4 yards of it, and I need 8 and 1/3 yards for the back. I bought all that they had, and then I am hoping that I can get to another Walmart in Omaha to find some more of this fabric. I did go to another local Walmart in another town nearby, and they didn't have any of it left, but I did look online, and it seems that there is a Walmart in Omaha that has some of this left. I just don't know when I'm gonna have the chance to. I don't want to just go to Omaha just for fabric. I mean, I could, but it's about a half an hour drive, and I don't want to load up all 5 of our kids while my husband's at work and take them all the way to Omaha just to get some fabric. So I don't know, we'll see if sometimes we go to Omaha after church on Sundays to go out to eat. So maybe if we do that, I can stop by the Walmart in Omaha and see if I can pick up more of this fabric. But I do have an alternate option. My Walmart did have this fabric, which I also used in this quilt. The problem is that the bolts of fabric from Walmart only have 8 yards brand new. And I needed over 8 yards in order to do, according to the calculations that I came up with for the size of the quilt that I'm making. So anyway, I ended up getting 2 cuts of this fabric from 2 different bolts. They happened to have an extra bolt of this fabric. And so I was able to get 2 cuts of it, but I just don't like it as well. I really wanted to have this fun pumpkin fabric on the back of it. Not that anybody's really ever going to see it anyway, but it's just what I wanted. But I could use this if I can't end up finding any of the pumpkin fabric, enough more of it. So we'll see how that turns out. And the other thing is that really, as soon as I get these sashing or the 2 other border pieces sewn on, I'll be ready for the backing. That'll be the next thing, is to get the backing ready so I can start quilting it, which I am planning on doing on my own sewing machine again, like I did with the first quilt that I made. And I'm not exactly sure how I'll quilt the top of it, but I think that I will just run, I'm not sure. I might just run like stitch in the ditch, which I've never done before. I need to look up how to do that exactly, or what the best way to do that is, but I think you just basically stitch along this line. I might do that along all of these seams, and then on the actual blocks, I think what I'll do is just go down the middle and run another stitch that goes along these points. And then that will be leave me with a stitch with about a 2.5 inch area that is not quilted. And I've heard that you want to do it about every 2 inches at the most. Like you really want to have it closer than 2 inches. But I don't know, I might run another line going this way too, like in between. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just going to kind of play it by ear and see how see how I do with it and see how it comes along. It'll be kind of a trial to see how I work up all the quilting lines. But I'm just planning on doing straight lines. So that's that. It is enormous and I am so excited about it, but of course it is all autumnal in color, and hopefully I'll have it done in the next couple of weeks. We'll see. But I'm not going to have a ton of time to enjoy it before I want to decorate for Christmas. And of course I'm not going to have a quilt to put on my bed for Christmas because I don't have one. And I'm not going to buy one now that I know how to quilt because I want to make a Christmas quilt for myself. But it'll have to wait until next year before I can actually have one for my bed. I can't fold this sitting down. I'll fold it when I'm done recording. Okay. So those are all of the works in progress that I have to share with you all. I do have some yarn from my Etsy shop that I would like to share with you. Every time I record an episode, I like to share 3 skeins of yarn from my Etsy shop that I think would work well together in a project. And this week I pulled 3 colorways that are, I think, kind of unexpected to be paired together or grouped together. But here are the 3 that I have picked for this week. And I like them. It's unexpected for me. When I was putting them together, I was like, oh, I don't know, but I think I like them. Anyway, the 3 colorways I have here are Trustworthy, which is a newer colorway for my shop. It is got this nice rich black base that's painted on there. So there are areas that are lighter, and then it's just got tons of colors of speckling on it. So we've got some bright orange and red and pink colors in there, some green, blue. It's just got lots of fun rainbow speckles in it, and I really love this one. And then this is another newer colorway for my shop. This is called Ornament of Gold, and it has this beautiful golden background that is, there's lighter and darker areas of it in the background area. And then it is speckled with some deep orange, brown, a little bit of green in there as well. So it's got some beautiful speckles in there as well. And the 3rd colorway is called Kindness. And this has a neutral base, and then again, it has tons of speckles on it as well. I really love how the speckles turn out on this colorway because I think I speckle 5 different colors onto this yarn, but then the colors just mix so much together that there's more than that. I don't put, for example, I don't put any purple on it, but the colors mix and make purple. And look at this section with these beautiful reddish colors and pink. There's turquoise in there and greens. And I just love this one. So I'm actually planning on using these 3 colorways in the next shawl that I make, which I'm hoping to start soon. And I'm planning on making the Exploration Station by Stephen West, and it calls for 4 colorways actually. So I'm planning to use these 3 as well as this. I have this little extra, and I think that will be enough according to the calculations that he provides in the pattern. This is my Peace colorway. So this is a light gray base, and then it's speckled with turquoise, green, and purple. And this is really, I just think, I'm like, I don't know, but I think I like it. So anyway, that's my plan as of now if I don't change my mind before I cast this project on. But I am, at this point, planning on having this be the next shawl that I knit. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, all of the colorways that I have in my shop are available on all 9 of my bases in any quantity that you might need. So please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions about the yarn that I provide in my shop. And let me know if you have any questions about what colorways would work well together. I'd be glad to work with you. Or if you have a request for a custom colorway, I'd be glad to try to work up a new colorway for you if you have any ideas of a colorway that you would like to see in the shop. So I think that is it for what I have to share with you. We have had a good couple of weeks. These last 2 weeks we had fun for Halloween. The kids, it was super, super cold that day, so we did only just end up going to one event, which was at a church in our town, and it was a lot of fun. The kids had a lot of fun there. There was like a bounce house inside and lots of games and candy that they were handing out, and then also the local fire department, and they had the rescue helicopter that was there in their parking lot, and we got to watch the helicopter fly off when they were, when it was about ready to end. So that was super fun to see, and the kids had a lot of fun. So, and we were able to stay warm inside the church building, so that was great. And they also fed us for free. They had free hot dogs and chips for a meal, which is great because Halloween supper is really difficult because you want to get out the door. We left our house at like 4:45 or so, and I didn't feed them before then. I mean, they had a snack when they, after in the afternoon, but I hadn't fed them supper, and so it's perfect because we went to this church and they fed us and we had a great time. So it was perfect. I did want to share with you a new nest that I have added to my collection. If you've tuned in for a while, maybe you remember that I love collecting birds' nests, and my children always keep an eye out for them, and my youngest found this tiny little one. I mean, look how little it is. I wish I could figure out what kind of a bird made this. If you know, please comment below. So I would guess that it's about 4 inches in diameter, and it's so sweet. It's got some little cotton stuffed in there and some leaves. Oh, it's so sweet. I just love it so much. And so I thought, I just feel like they create these, and we are makers, and these birds are makers. I mean, I'm just enthralled by the craftsmanship that goes into making birds' nests. I just think it's incredible. So anyway, I just wanted to show that off because I think it's so sweet. Anyway, I think that's all I have to share with you all this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. And I hope that you all have a great couple of weeks ahead. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.